What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Deep Third. So glad to be coming to you guys again live. Again, we appreciate everything. Hopefully, at the end of this, you guys can hit that subscribe, like button, um, notification button, so that way you're notified when the next edition comes out. Again, we're so glad that you're here. I'm gonna toss this thing to Dante.
Hey man, listen, as Jarrell said, we are so happy to be back live again this Sunday. So we got my boy Jarrell Burnett on this thing.
What's going on?
Then we also got my boy Big Fade.
What's going on, world? Thank you all again for stopping by.
So, hey, remember, everybody that's on here that's live, remember that we have our new segment, Deep Thought, where we will be answering questions that you post online. So, if you have anything that you want to put on there, please go ahead, drop it down in the comments. Make sure when you're doing that, hit that like button as well. So, we got some good questions and that we want to talk about today. So the first question, this was going to Fade first, Big Fade. If you could be a pro athlete in any sport, what would it be and why?
Interesting. So, for this, as I've discussed before in previous episodes, I love me some football. So, for this, it wouldn't be football that I actually would want to do. So I would want to be a pro athlete. If I had my choosing, I would do baseball, actually. I would join the Major Baseball League to do, or if it was my choice. And the reason I say that, number one, the top reason that comes to mind, guaranteed money. Um, so basically, you sign on that dotted line, no matter what happens, any injury, whatever, you get all your dollars. Um, and so for me, being the investor and entrepreneur mindset that I have, so if I had the same mindset and then could play baseball, man, shoot, my butt might go out there, do good, right? Get signed, work through the minor leagues, get to the big leagues, sign that big deal, and oh shoot, I'm hurt. Give me my money, and then I'm gonna
But
take.
that's terrible. That's terrible. That boy is terrible.
Give me my money. I sign on the line. Give me my money. I want all my money guaranteed. All of that stuff. No. The guaranteed money is the big reason. Now, as far as like, to me, also with baseball, it's not like, I know there is some contact. Like you can run into people trying to block you from getting to base and stuff like that. I just don't think there's as much contact, obviously, as other sport. Like, football is obviously the most contact sport, but then you still got like basketball. That's pretty. There's some contact in that, even though they're trying to, or they are changing the rules in that somewhat. Um, but I just think that you can protect your body a little bit more in baseball, unless you're a pitcher. A pitcher, I know a pitcher, throwing that ball and all that stuff, you can mess up your elbow, arm, and all that stuff. So um, I think I'd want to be like a catcher too. I don't know how much catchers do. I'm not as efficient or as educated on baseball, but I think just sitting behind the mound, you know what I'm saying, chilling, throwing my little fingers down, telling him to do this and that, and then I can go and get my money. Um, but yeah, so if it was me, I would say baseball. Back to you, fellas.
Man, so for me, I mean, Fabe, I like what you're saying. I like where you're going. Um, but at the end of the day, I got to go to the NBA. I
Oh,
mean, I'm a football guy at heart. I was a baseball guy before a football guy, but I got to go to basketball. And the reason is because I think baseball right now in America isn't quite as popular as basketball. Football
true.
is the most popular sport, but you also wear a helmet. So you're also faceless for the most part. Basketball, you're the most recognizable face. Hence why Jordan is Michael Jordan. Hence why LeBron James is LeBron James and Kobe Bryant is Kobe Bryant. You could see them out in public and you're going to know who they are. So I think, like baseball, basketball has very lucrative contracts and they're fully guaranteed. Um, I also like your superstars are going to make that, 20 some, 30 some million, but you got bench players making 10, getting like 10 minutes a game. So I think that mid tier where baseball, it is boom or bust really for money. There's not much wiggle room in that middle, and that low end. What I fear in baseball is that they got control over you over the first 7 years. So they're going to pay you no money. They're going to try to keep you down in the minors as long as they can so you don't get that credit. And then when you go to arbitration, like Chris Bryant just went to arbitration, and he didn't get the money that he should be getting on the open market. So I think with baseball, they hold you down so long so they don't have to pay you. So you have to be good for longer when it comes to the MLB, where when we talking about the NBA, I mean, look at Jeremy Lin. Jeremy Lin blew up back in the day.
True.
All of a sudden, he gets a big contract. You look at all these dudes where now they call them bad contracts because they got all this money. They had 1 good year, 2 good years, and a team's like, man, I need that piece. So I'm going to pay him $10 million. So I will gladly be number 9, 10, 11, or 12 on the roster. My $10 million with a smile on my face. So for me, I got to go NBA, man. I got to go NBA.
All right, good. So same. I am a football fanatic. That's what I'm about. This was a hard one for me because I was like, man, baseball, I could probably make the most money. But and I'm like, football, you get the most, everybody knows you, everybody wants to be a football player. Um, but then, like you, Drew, I got to go basketball because I think about it. Like for instance, baseball, that's a hard sport to play after you're done. So like basketball, I can go play. I can just go to a basketball court, pickup game, can play. Baseball, not so much. You got to get people gather around, all that stuff. Then on top of that too, far as the notoriety, like I know everybody likes football players, but everybody wants to be a basketball player. On the NFL roster, you got cats that's like, man, I can hoop, I can ball,
Uh-huh.
and a lot
Yep.
of them can't. But everybody want to be a hooper. Everybody. Then you got cats that's on baseball team. They want to hoop, and that's from little league all the way up to the major leagues. And all those sports. Everybody wants to be a hooper for whatever reason. It's just nice to be able to go out there and just splat. You know. The other thing too is I think that basketball, as far as when it comes to endorsements, I think they get the most, especially when it comes to shoes. Like I used to be a manager at Finish Line. I can tell you out of 6 years I worked at Finish Line, how many times I saw a football player come in or they brought in a shoe and was like, hey, this is a football shoe. The only person I can think of off the top of my head was J.J. Watt. But it wasn't even a football shoe. It was basically for training. But basketball shoes, whew, everywhere. You talking about getting paid? Man, listen, you be a basketball star and you can go out there and hoop and you're gonna get a contract. And that's what appeals to me. It's like, man, to have my own shoe deal, man, that's crazy. Come in, like you think about Jordan when he first came in and he didn't want to be with Nike, and now look at it. Uh, who was the other company that messed up? I think it was Adidas. No, not Adidas. I forget the name of the company, but they messed up on Kobe, and they passed on Kobe, and Kobe went to Adidas first, and then Adidas didn't want to sign him. Then he went to Nike, and boom, blew up. Actually, I think it was a Converse with Jordan. They didn't want to pay him that much money or something like that.
Yep.
But But yeah, that's what I would do. I would be a basketball player if I could. I need to grow maybe like another like 6 inches.
Well,
But yeah, that's what I would be.
here's the other question though. So you all, both of y'all say basketball. Well, you know the other thing that basketball players like to do, they like to try to be rappers. So y'all gonna drop this album?
Hey, album dropping next week, baby. Come see me.
Hey, listen. There's already Dame Dollars. We can call me J Dollars. I mean,
Hey, you know how I do? My wife would tell me to not rap, so yeah. The album will not be dropping soon.
I can sing though. I can't rap. I can
What?
sing.
Let me hit. Can we hit a little note?
Let's
Just
go,
a little
T-Pain.
tune. A
Let's
little
go,
tune.
T-Pain.
Oh
We ain't bringing it out.
man,
We
look
ain't
at
bringing
here.
I'm
it
a
out.
singer turn. Come on,
Listen,
T-Pain.
everybody in chat or everybody watching this, if y'all want to see Jarrell do a little tune on an episode, put it in the comments. We won't do it today, but if you guys like, comment, share, and say, yo, we want to hear Jarrell do a little tune, let us know. Let us know. All right, coach.
All right, hey, so listen. So the next question, this one here, so I'm gonna give a backstory before I ask the question. So I was on ESPN and I saw this article. Actually, Big Fave, he gave we were training and he was like, "Oh man, listen, To and Tyreek Hill, they about to race in the 40." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Man, To about to get blazed on." And surprisingly, he did not get beat that bad. I was very surprised. To still looked good. However, some people got into the conversations and they were talking about Tyreek Hill's form, his running form, how it was terrible and he need to practice on it and he need to get better. And so one of them called him out is a football player that plays receiver for the Eagles named Marquise Goodwin. And so Marquise Goodwin, uh, he came out and said, you know, he need to have better form. And Tyreek Hill, he got offended, bro. He was going in on him, and he was like, "Man, listen, I'm better. I'm a better receiver than you, and you gonna come over here and you gonna say something. So now I got to eat you up in the running too. So you just terrible." Basically, that's what he said. And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I was like, "Yo, this is a great topic to talk about." You got two NFL players that's beefing right now. Ain't nothing going on right now. So all ears, my ears to the streets, as Eric would say. Um, but so the question is, man, who do you think is a better receiver, Tyreek Hill or Marquise Goodwin? And I'll go with you, Jarrell, first.
Man, this is a no-brainer, man. Tyreek Hill. Um, One, he's been in the league longer, so I got a lot of film on him to see what he's doing. But I mean, he's a monster game changer. Um, so if we're talking about best receiver, period, out of the two, I mean, you got to go with the guy who literally, I'm not going to say led the Chiefs, but was a significant part of a championship team. He's a guy that I think you have to game plan for. And it's not just the speed, but it's the speed along with the route running. Because when you watch him, now again, you're going to be like, oh, he's fast at the end, but you got to watch him in and out of breaks. It's ridiculous. This dude is just a straight monster. Now, is he Chad Johnson back in the day when Chad Johnson was the best route runner in the league? Probably not. But at the end of the day, he's faster than Chad. So even if he's coming out of his break, he's going to come out with more speed than what Chad Johnson did. So he might not be 100% precise, but when you're talking about the two, man, it's not even, I don't even think that it's even close to a match. It is a punt returner and Marquise Goodwin versus a
D.
receiver and Tyreek. That's how I look at it. That's how the gap is when it comes to receiver skills. I gotta see some. And I think if I'm not mistaken, I think Marquise Goodwin opted out this year.
He did. He did because his
I
wife.
mean,
I'm actually looking at it now. His wife had a miscarriage.
listen, I understand, I got it, but that's not gonna put no film on. So Tyreek Hill.
So okay,
Go ahead.
before Faye
No.
go on, who is the faster receiver?
I mean, 40 time, it's gonna be Marquise, but field time, it's Tyreek. I don't know if I've Chris Johnson might be might be a hair faster on the field, but I have not seen a dude move like this dude. Like it's just straight bananas. I mean, he's gone. So it's disgusting to watch him on the field. But I think 40 time, I mean, obviously we got the times. So 40 time, I think Marquise can get him just straight line. But I think if you're talking about on the field, pads on, helmet on, cleats on, elements, I'm going with the one and only Georgia boy, Tyreek Hill.
And the funny thing too is, in that conversation that he was talking to Marquise Goodwin, he said that I don't need to have form. I just run.
Yep. I
I'm
just
from
run.
Georgia.
That's like them rabbit chasers down there in Florida. Y'all be chasing them rabbits.
Hey, I wish I would have chased more rabbits. I would have been a little bit faster.
But you still not better than Maryland. But Florida's not.
Listen, Jarrell. You know, and everybody in Maryland know that y'all can't mess with Florida football. You know that. However,
Maryland.
basketball, I'll give you that.
Listen.
Actually, I can't really give it to y'all because it's more DC. It's more DC, right, than Maryland? Dang. Or is it Maryland?
It's Maryland, DC, all the same.
No, it ain't all the same.
It all depends on where the school is. You can play in the DC league, but you're a Maryland school.
Okay. Yeah, I give y'all.
Maryland is better than Florida when it comes to football. We're not gonna get into it today. We're not gonna get into it today.
Yeah, y'all better than us in hockey.
Listen, I need to holler at Joe Hayden so we can go down there and talk about when he went down to Florida, how he was monster and stuff, bringing recognition back.
What? Hold up. Let me ask you this. Sorry, Faye. I'm so sorry. I gotta get on Florida real quick.
Are we good?
Florida, they recognized that they had a good player there. Guess what? Why he didn't go to Maryland? Because he knew he wasn't gonna win. He's like, I gotta leave this thing in state to get something on my hand.
Tim Tebow.
And what Timbo for? What Tim from? J Town, baby. Duval County, somewhere around there.
Best college quarterback in history. We can talk about that another day. Let that go.
Hey, I agree with you on that. We can talk about that another day.
Move on.
Jameis Winston is the best college football quarterback. Anyways. Whoa. Faye.
So for me, faster, I would have to say, I don't see much or know much as far as on Marquise Goodwin, so I would have to say faster, Mr. Cheetah, better receiver. I'm tired of agreeing with stuff with Jarrell, man. This some BS. But mine is different. I do think that Tyreek would be good probably anywhere he went. I just have to own up to the fact that Mahomes is that dude. He's that good. If you probably put Goodwin with Mahomes, Goodwin probably would be doing the same things. So and I'm not trying to take anything away from Tyreek. It's just hard to ignore the fact that Mahomes is that guy. He is that dude. Um, so, cause like when you look at the total package, like yeah, both of these guys are good. It's really hard for me to pick one out of the other because when you're saying, well, who's the better receiver, this and that, I want to think of a receiver as the total package. What are you speed, route running, smart, all of that stuff, and that makes me think of the Julio Joneses of the world and stuff like because Julio Jones is that guy, or that makes me think of Calvin Johnson back in the day, who I think if you would have put Calvin Johnson on any freaking team, he would have been that dude and probably could have. Oh my god! Like, think if you would have put Calvin Johnson with Tom Brady. Whew.
He tried. He tried, Fade. He tried. He tried at the end, and they weren't going to trade him, so he retired.
Did the old Barry Sanders? Barry Sanders did the same thing.
That's just product of the Lions. They don't know how to do it.
To not get way off, yeah, Tyreek Hill is who I would say.
And I'm sorry, who did you say was the fastest?
I feel it's twofold, kind of like where Jarrell was going. I feel like Marquise, if you just running, yeah, I feel like he's faster. But you guys, tell me this. So, is there, when it comes to running, is form that important or just downright I can get it? Is form that important?
I think it depends on who it is. Because I think that you can have some people that can have the perfect form. However, if you got somebody that they just got speed, they'll eat them up.
You gotta put it in context. If you're talking with sports, no. If you're talking track, yes. Because that's when aerodynamics and all that good stuff goes into it. When you're talking about sports, I mean, you're shifting and moving. So if you're talking about straight line, form will always help you. I guarantee if Tyreek Hill decided to get his form right, he'd probably be down to a 4.22 instead of a 4.29 or a 4.24. But at the end of the day, that's why I think that speed is different, because when you're playing a sport, never, ever, 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 ever will you ever just run 40 yards straight line with perfect form and have the ability to do that, because you're going to have to avoid somebody. You got to look back for somebody. You're going to have to avoid somebody. You got to block or hit somebody. So never will that ever happen. But at the end of the day, form, no, it's not a big issue.
Okay. Mr. Parker?
Yeah, so when it comes to who's the better receiver, I think Tyreek said it best. He said it best himself. Yeah, he's a better receiver, hands down. I think 2018 season he had over 1,400 yards receiving. Marquise Goodwin, he doesn't even have over 1,000 yards in his career. So yeah, hands down, better receiver. To your credit, Fade, yes, what's the name is a beast, Mahomes. But I think that Tyreek Hill, I think he's just an exceptional player. I think he can almost go to any team and produce because he's just that type of athlete. He's just that type of player. He kind of reminds me of like, I don't know, like you think of, like, you guys are naming out some receivers, like I name one, like a Torrey Holt. Like I felt like that's a place he could go anywhere and he would put up numbers because he was just that dude. But when it comes to speed, yeah, man, good when he got it all day. That dude is a track star. I want to say that he probably was in line to run for the Olympics. He blazing. He's a blazer. You just don't have that kind of speed. But when it comes down to like receiver, man, yeah, hands down, Tyreek. Even so, let's transition to this. So we were sitting here talking about who's the best receiver out of those two and who's the fastest. Out of everybody that you guys know of from the history of football, who do you guys would be like, man, this guy right here, in my opinion, was probably the fastest person to ever step on the football grid?
Chris Johnson.
Yeah, Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson.
Now, I guess I'll have to say new age, because there's one guy that I think, Deion Sanders.
My dude.
Deion Sanders.
He was that fast?
I didn't want to say him. I didn't want to say him because he's Florida State, but at the end of the day, he was my Dallas Cowboy. And he was a Baltimore Raven. But I never saw him run just straight line. But if what is true is said, I could see it, because you could see it on the field where he's tracking guys down. He looks like he's beat and is money. Playing receiver. I mean, yeah, it would be very close, but I'd probably go with Deion.
Yeah, Deion. He ran like a 4. I think they said a 4.29.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
he
ran like
he could lock him down, but I didn't know he had speed with it. Okay.
Yeah, man. I wish I had like 2/10 of his speed. That'd be nice. But I would have to go with Bo Jackson, bro. But see, this is the hard part, because back then I can't say for sure that the defensive players were as fast as they are now. But he was one of the dudes that, from what I hear about it and from what I saw, that dude would be able to hit like third gear, everybody else still in the first gear. And we just didn't get a chance to see everything because of his injury that happened to him when he messed up his hip. But from what I saw, man, they was saying, man, like that dude was just an amazing athlete, from to be able to, get the ball over here, cut back, and be out of there. But that's who I probably would say.
That's good.
So, Fabe, you got anything to add? Big Fabe?
Nah, man. So, we're to our favorite part of the show, because it involves you guys, the viewers. So, at this time, we're going to transition to Deep Thought. We do have a response to a viewer question last week, but we're going to hold off on that and answer any questions that we have this week. So one thing that I've seen in the comments, so if you guys got any comments or questions, let us know. So we got Eric here who said, "Do it, Jarrell." For the singing, man. Eric wants to hear a little tune.
I gotta be able to warm up the vocals. You gotta tune in next week. Singing in the background.
Oh,
I'll bring it out.
All right, and then we got Sean saying Dante rubbing his hands like he Birdman. Dante asking for some respect. Sean, you put some respect on his name. All right.
On that name.
Some respect. Is you finished, or is you? That's how we should end the show. Are we finished, or are we done?
I like that.
All right. Well,
are we ready?
Yeah, you go ahead, Jarrell.
All right. So we apologize. We got a question that was emailed in um, last week that we did not get until we were, or we did not get to see until we were off air. Um, but for the sake of time, I'm not going to read I'll read part of it. Um, so this question was from a gentleman, Mr. Patrick Troy. Um, So speaking on the first year that he went or that he played football for the Seton Hill Griffins, he never understood the animosity of always keeping the competition level high, knowing that a unit is only as strong as their weakest link. And he never understood the hostility by me that I would have towards him, towards his style of play, when he would speak out on his lack of playing time. Um, so that's the gist, and then I'll go down to the question. So the question is, so for all of those people that have played football, and that always has been that practice all star, um, only one keeping that competition. Why is this person hated, and why is there hostility towards that person? Um, why does this person get deemed a bad person or a bad part of the team, um, even when that person's playing the big role of basically the success of the team? So the part on my part, um, it's not really a answer per se, but it's more of like a background. So I was injured at that time, and I was helping out a lot of our coaches and watching film and doing all this. And we had guys that simply had their positions. Um, and at that time, I'm way different now. Any of my players that I've coached will tell you different. Um, at that time, it was like you don't want to do too much. You don't want to complain too much because at the end of the day, there were certain people who had their spots based on their play, and nothing was going to happen. I think maybe I came off wrong, but for that, I apologize. Um, but at the end of the day, at that time, that's kind of what it was. Maybe I just didn't give the full context of it, and I came off like a jerk. But at the end of the day, that's just kind of what it was. Um, the part that I really want to get into is talking about keeping that high level of competition. And I think that's where maybe I've transitioned to, um, and maybe what I've grown into as a coach, because I think we are only as good as our scout team in any sport that you play, because that's a competition that you're going to see daily. Those are the guys that are going to perform the plays that you're going to be seeing on Friday night, Saturday night, Saturday day, or Sunday. Um, so I think when it comes to that, those people are hated because a lot of times people don't like competition. Nobody wants to look bad in practice. If I'm a starter and I may be a fringe starter, or I'm a starter and afraid to lose my spot, I think that's where it comes. Another part is laziness. When you're talking about, you know, you're not talking about the NFL where you're getting paid to do it and that's somebody's paycheck. When you're on the other side, you don't know that motivation for that other person. And then the other spot where, we kind of talked about this off air a little bit last time. I was injured my senior year of high school, where I was running plays, playing scout team, and I shouldn't have been playing scout team. But, a guy goes to tackle somebody playing around, and spins somebody, hits into my knee, and that kind of, I'm sorry, junior year, and that started my knee injury. And then my senior year, I was playing where I shouldn't have been playing, and ended up getting injured playing around. So it to me at that time, I probably wasn't in the right mindset, and I was holding on to something. So Pat, I hope that answers your question. If it didn't, feel free to put something in the comments, send us another email, and I can answer anything specifically further, and I'll do it on air at our next one. but I appreciate the question. I appreciate the thought that went into it. I thought it was good. Again, I do apologize because I think that was never my intention. I think it was more like, hey man, listen, like doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter how much you complain, doesn't matter how much, you know, you might think you played yourself into a spot. It just wasn't going to happen. Not there, not at that time. It was Dante's fault.
You know, I was having a conversation with a friend about, you know, football and all this stuff. And, you know, one thing that he said that was crazy, and you actually alluded to it kind of with the goals. So you have the goal of the person on the scout team who, okay, that person might not be like, oh, I'm good on the scout team, I'm happy with this, whatever, I'm just on the team. But you have somebody who's like, yo, I want to start. The only time the coach can see me is in practice. Yo, let me go. Let me show up. And then you have the starter who's like, all right, I got a game this week. I'm only doing this stuff to understand what the other team's doing, to understand what the offense is doing and where everybody. That's the only reason I'm out here. I ain't trying to get hurt. I ain't trying to put all this. So you have two different goals. Starter, he's like, I'm just trying to see what's going on, understand the plays, and go home. The practice player's like, yo, I'm trying to start. What's up, coach? Look at me. I'm out here. So, yeah, I can see how that dynamic can be hard when even as teammates you're not even through practice achieving the same goal. I'm the starter, like you said, I'm just trying not to get hurt in practice. I'm trying to make it to the game. So, yeah, that's tough. And you guys, you know, being coaches, I'm sure that's tough too because you want your guys to show up, show out in practice because to get ready for the game, but you also don't want them to get hurt. So that's, yeah, I don't know how y'all do that. So props to you.
And Dante, if I can jump in, I think the part that I may not have said in the soliloquy of what he was saying, but the part that reason why I said Dante, so many times me and Mr. Dante would work out with the same level of competition and was never met with that same aggression. So for all the people that don't know, I'm going to say it. Dante, a.k.a. Graham State, when we heard Graham State was transferring in, you know, you would have thought that, you know, he was the second coming of a king. That's all we knew. He was from Florida. He went to Graham State, and he was transferring in. And we like, my God. So they had this Graham State brother on this high pedestal before he stepped foot on campus. So that is why, Pat, that you were met with the aggression, but not Graham State, because they had to make sure that investment that they made, they had to smooth that over. So they couldn't be mean to Mr. Graham State. They couldn't tell Mr. Graham State how it was. They had to smooth it over. Oh, it's okay, Dante. You got beat that time. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. So we had to baby that thing, put some Huggies. We had to get the most expensive diapers. Make sure we put him in them Huggies and make sure he was happy.
Hey man, listen. I'll go back to what you guys were talking about as far as the practice team stuff. I ain't gonna lie to you, boy. I got beat. Oh, I got beat. I got beat. I ain't gonna lie to you. But best believe ain't nobody running on that side though. Ain't nobody running on that side. They gonna go to the other side. But when they try to throw the ball, yeah, they gonna test me. I will say that.
Linebacker playing corner.
Oh man, that's why they should have me at safety. I told them I played safety. Ain't no corner. That's Justin Morrell. Billy Miller. But yeah, it was definitely wow, man. Thinking about like that was it was crazy, man. It was it was a great experience, humbling, but it was a great time, a great time. Um, so far as offense, I mean starters and special team, I mean starters and scout team. So when I was in high school, we had a coach named Coach the Cristofaro, Coach D. So he was always down there in our defensive practice. Um, and I saw this at a young age, or as a freshman, sophomore, the way that the scout team, how he demanded the scout team players to play hard. Um, and so that's all I knew. So it was just like, hey, you better play hard. But then again, we would always play too, um, against first team offense. So like for instance, like it'll be I remember plenty of times I see Fade down on the line and I'm like, all right, looking at Fade, okay, hey, they might be going the other way because the way he's sitting in his stance, and so it was always a competition level, like it was super high. And I was always looked at it as, if you go hard, if everybody's going hard, nobody's gonna get hurt. But it's the time when you start thinking about, oh my gosh, I don't want to get hurt, and you start thinking like that. That's when you get hurt. Because I mean, if it's a freak accident, like when I tore my ACL, I was in practice, nobody touched me. All I did was plant and to run in a different direction. My knee went one way, my body went the other way. There was nothing that nobody else could have done in that situation. It was a non contact injury, and so you're gonna have injuries like that. That's in every sport. But for the most part, if you're running around and you're doing what you're supposed to do, you're not gonna get hurt. But that is the mindset that people sometimes is, I don't want to get hurt, so I'm gonna take it easy. But as soon as you take it easy, that's when the other person going hard, and then that's when you get hurt. Um, but it is tough, man, because you like Faye was saying, like you were saying, your mindset is like, man, I just want to make it out of this practice so I can go to the game. Um, but at the end of the day, sometimes that's the only time they can actually get that work in because, and you remember when we was at GCC, we used to yell at cats all the time because they would be sitting there on the defensive line and they'll hike the ball, offensive lineman just pushing them and he just going for a ride. And I'm like, dang, bro, you do understand that you're not getting better and that offensive lineman is getting better, not getting better because when we get in that game, that defensive line ain't just gonna let him put him on a ride. And so that was always my frustration with when it came to that kind of stuff. But it was usually because you had uh, cats that knew they wasn't gonna play. They was already scared, and so they just like, I'm just a body. I'm a body. I'm just a dummy standing here. So I'm just gonna let him have his way with me. And when he done, he'll shake my hand and be a perfect gentleman. So that's how I looked at it.
Yeah, man. So I think just in what you said, it's the player's mindset versus the coach's mindset. And I think, realizing and thinking about, the player's mindset, you know, it's again, I just want to make it to Friday. But what you don't realize, especially when you're at that young level, is iron sharpens iron. So if that guy against me, now again, I'm not saying playing dirty, taking knees out, but if he's going hard, giving me a good look, that means when I go into a game on Friday, it's going to be pretty much the same thing and maybe even a talent drop off,
Yeah.
which I'm 100% prepared. And when coaches don't look at practice film, coaches look at game film. So if you're already prepared because that receiver has been running routes hard, that DB is playing you hard, when you get into a game, that's going to make your film look better because
Yeah.
you're already at that high level. Now, again, that's the coach's mindset where the players like, again, I just want to get to Friday night. I want to get to the game. I want to get to that Saturday game. And I really don't want resistance. Uh, because again, who likes being pushed? Who likes being edged? You know, now on the other end, I wish that coaches like I am now, the type of coach I am now, listen, if you show me something in practice, I'm willing to put you in the game. I've done it before. I put a freshman in the game when he didn't believe in himself. But I believed in him because he worked his butt off. But at the end of the day, not enough coaches do that, and it doesn't always pay off. Like Patrick was alluding to, basically, was just that. Like he's putting in the work, he's giving the effort, and he's questioning. Um, I always think that there's a right and a wrong way to do things. You don't do things publicly, you do things privately. And then if privately things don't get accomplished, then you do it publicly. But I think you have those conversations with the coaches and sit down and like, hey, listen, I feel like I'm playing at a high level. Why am I not getting any additional looks? Why am I not playing? And at that time, if they say something that you don't like, you continue to bust your butt. So I think that's kind of like what he was alluding to. And part of what he was talking is that he felt like he was doing enough to be able to get on the field. But I was giving him resistance when it came to like, dude, like, you're not going to get on the field. It's not going to happen. Doesn't matter how hard you work, which on my end was bad.
Yeah. I see the other thing too is I think that at Seton Hill we it kind of reminded me of coaching when we got to coaching up in PA, and you have coaches that look at their roster and they don't understand or they don't know how to get people in the right position to be successful. Because I think that, and I think I had this conversation with Pat, and I was like, I think that we had a lot, like our defensive back group, our defensive backfield. I think we had a lot of talented players. We had a lot. You know, we had Ezra, we had Rat, we had
DA,
Da, we had Bernard, my cousin, we had Jeremy, and the list just goes on and on. And you know, Jake. So we had a lot. D Mays, the Mays was good. Then you also had what was the other cat that was that room with me? EJ. So we had a lot of cats, man. But I felt like we did not do a good job as a coaching staff to set up and to put people in the right places or to get them on the field by putting them in the right packages
Yep.
to be successful. And I think that just has to do with coaching. And I had this conversation with my dad the other day. Is that the successful coaches or the coaches that win the most, Nick Saban, Belichick, Mike Tomlin, they know how to put people in the right spot. They know how to not try to make their scheme fit the people, but make a scheme. I'm sorry. Don't make the scheme to fit. Don't take the scheme and say, all right, you got to fit in this scheme. They take the people and say, all right, what are you good at? You good at this, this, and this. All right, now I'm going to build a scheme about what you're good at. And I think that's where a lot of coaches meet their downfall. And I think that if we would have did that, we could have been a lot successful faster. We could have been better a lot faster than what we would have been. And that goes on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, just in the coach's mindset, man. It's absolutely amazing to see how many coaches don't take advantage of the players that they got. And I want to run a wishbone. I want to run wing T. I want to run X, Y, and Z. But if I don't have the guys to do it, why am I trying to do it? I got to do something that fits who I have to maximize their abilities. Now, it's nice if you get guys to do what you want them to do, but you may not get that. So you just have to take whatever somebody's strength is and you build on that, you work on that, you hone those skills. You alluded to the Patriots. The Patriots are, as much as I used to not like them, they are the standard.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Belichick will bring a guy in that does one thing well and allow him to do that one thing well. But while he's there, he's going to build you up so that you can be more well-rounded. Teddy Bruschi wasn't Teddy Bruschi of in the time. Kyle Van Noy was half garbage, and everybody gave up on him. He comes to the Patriots, and he contributes. Jamie Collins, same way. You look at a lot of the guys that come onto the Patriots, and it's one, old, People don't think they got much left, and they want to win a chip. Or hungry underdog. You show me that you got some talent. I'm gonna bring you in. I'm gonna allow you to do what you do best. Put you in those positions. Rob Ninkovich, all of these guys. I mean, I can continue to go down the line. But at the end of the day, if you as a coach don't do anything to make your guys better and put them in positions to win, you can only blame yourself.
Yeah.
That's how it goes at the end of the day.
Steven Arson says Harbaugh. Is he on that list of coaches that do it well?
Who?
Harbaugh.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you look and see what he did with Lamar, and most people's like,
when they took him, everybody hate, yeah, man, and now that man balling. He said, "What you do, Lamar? All right, be free, go do your thing."
Exactly. And yeah, that is the perfect example. Example of right now. That's a perfect one. I mean, everybody was shunning him. Everybody was like, man, this dude is a receiver. Maybe I could put him at defensive back because he's fast and this and that.
Flacco, and you paid Flacco all that money.
Yeah, he just won a Super Bowl 3 years ago. Yeah, we good. But he was like, nah, bro, we see something in this guy, and he said we're gonna change the NFL. And that's what he did. And you see, and the crazy thing is, you have people, and I saw it at a high school level because our high school coach did the same thing, Fade, right? We running the wing tee, we had too many athletes.
Into it. We could talk about that on another day when we talk about coaching, because I do want to dive into your guys' experiences on another show in coaching. But yeah, our coach did that. We just real quick, Dre, we had two quarterbacks. One who was amazing at the wing tee. Like, amazing. I kid you not. He could read and he could juke, move, was an athlete. Like,
shout out to Dolls.
Yeah, like, bro, like, he would be, I used to love watching practice when, like, the running backs and DBs and stuff would do one-on-ones, because he would always come up and do this, like, do with his feet. Boy, and the DB falling over every time in the open field. Though. Yeah, not me. In the open field, this guy was sick in the open field. Always got hurt, but he was good at the wing tee. Really couldn't throw. But we had another quarterback who could throw, but boy, he couldn't run. He could not run. But the coach was trying to run the wing tee with him. But he could throw. He had an arm. Come on,
listen,
man.
It reminded me of Florida when they had Chris Link and Tebow. That's basically what it reminded me.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. But
I will say this. So I don't remember if you knew. I don't know if you remember this, but I went to go pick him up to come up on a visit. And so he came up, and he was up there for like a couple days. But that's the guy he's talking about.
But I will say this. Couldn't reel him in.
Nah, I don't know.
Oh, you tried to get him to come to Seton Hill? Is that
yeah, he came up for a visit.
Man, he would have killed that.
He would have.
For sure.
But for whatever reasons, it did not work out, and yeah, the rest was history.
But all right, guys, you guys got any final thoughts?
Nah, man. All I got to say is thank y'all again. Thank y'all, whoever goes in and tunes in after this goes off live. Greatly appreciate it. I think next week we might have to talk about coaches and the impact that they have on sports, both positive and negative. Because I think too many coaches get too much credit. Too many coaches don't get enough credit, and too many coaches get the blame and get fired too early. I'll leave it at that.
That's a good one. All right, Fabe, I'll go. Yeah, hey man, we appreciate everybody that tune in or that's watching it after it goes after we get off live. We appreciate y'all. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like button. Bing bing. Get it in. Let's go. And we appreciate it. Fave on you. Big fave on you.
All right, guys. Final thoughts is if you guys have any questions or comments that you guys, want us to talk about or anything, make sure you guys comment. And also, I'll have a link to our email address, or it's actually on there, so you guys can email us your questions as well. Share this. If you guys find this stuff entertaining and you enjoy the conversation and you want other people to hear the conversation, don't forget to share it as well. Like and subscribe, but share it as well to those who need to hear it. So again, thank you guys. Deep Third out.